agree. So moving off the defensive lineman, we're going to talk some NBA action. The Dallas Mavericks have been absolutely Maverick crap since they have traded for Kyrie Irving. Does that correlate? Is Kyrie the issue? I think we all can agree they have no wing depth or wing defense anymore, and that's the obvious one. But if you had to look at one person, whether coach Mark Cuban, Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Dwight Powell, um, Chris, who would you say needs to hold the most share in the Mavericks meltdown this season?
I'm gonna say it's three people in my opinion, but it's really revolving around one. Jason Kidd is the problem, in my opinion, and I'll tell you why. On no successful team in 2023 should Reggie Bullock be starting at power forward and Dwight Powell at center. It's just rough to have that be your starting five. When you have a JaVale McGee on the bench, when you have a Christian Wood coming off the bench, and I'm not saying that Christian Wood can guard great. Okay. Nobody can guard. So now you should try to shift to outscoring people like you've done in the past. Didn't do it. So I think that's a big part of the problem. And like I said, if Dwight Powell's out there to be a lob catcher but can't catch, Reggie Bullock's out there to be a shooter and defend, but he's not making shots. It's almost like what are they out there for? And they don't have another place to go. Because after those two guys, you got, on the wing, you have Josh Green, who's not ready yet. He's okay, but he's not ready yet. Jaden Hardy, who I loved out of the draft, he's just not ready yet. He's good, he's just not ready yet. They don't really have anywhere to turn. So then now you look at Luka and Kyrie as a big blame, and it's like Luka and Kyrie don't play defense. Kyrie's been in the league 10 years. He has never been a defender. Luka's never been a defender. So you're asking them to do something that they've never done. You're kind of like beating a dead horse in that sense. So I think Jason Kidd is the reason to blame because he hasn't made the right adjustments. Like if the adjustment is you need more scoring, you start Wood at the 4, you start McGee at center, and you have a rim protector, and you have Dwight Powell coming to be the energy guy. Just try new stuff. I think that Jason Kidd hasn't done enough trying, and also with the team with Kyrie coming in, they didn't get any wing defend. They didn't get any wing scorers. They didn't even try to go out and get a Terrence Ross. Even give Melo a 10 days, see if he can make a couple shots for you on the wing. Anything. They didn't try enough, in my opinion. So that's kind of why I think Jason Kidd is the blame.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, right? You said Jason Kidd. I think coaching goes a long way into this. Kyrie, like, as good as he is handling the ball, Luka needs to be bringing the ball up. And maybe I'm crazy to say this, but Luka should be bringing the ball up, and he is most effective when he's not off ball. And I think that might speak to why they're having like inefficiency in offense. They can't outscore people when Luka's slow ass is getting trapped in the corner. Like you saw this in the playoffs.
Yeah.
No, Tatum would hide in the playoffs sometimes in the corner, and I've visibly seen Tony get mad because he's like, "Why is Tatum playing off ball in the corner? Get your best player the ball, and let him make something happen."
Yeah, and so Tatum is a lot better moving off the ball, but it's a difference when you just sit in the corner and don't move at all. Luka just can't play off ball. He refuses to move. He'll sit on the wing and won't do anything. He'll stand on top of the key, don't do anything. I think the difference between Harden and Kyrie and then Luka and Kyrie is that Harden fully embraced being a point guard and Kyrie fully embraced being a shooting guard. I think Kyrie and Luka are like trying to half-ass be both. I think Luka's trying to be a scorer along with the main playmaker, and Kyrie's trying to be the main scorer with a little bit of playmaking. Like, just cut it out, guys. One's the point guard, one's the shooting guard. You can't play defense. You got to make it work as efficiently as possible. Like, Luka, if that means bumping down, like if it means 25 and 12 a game instead of, 32 and 9, so be it, dude. And Kyrie, I mean, if you average 27 points and no assists, oh well, you got to win the game. But ultimately, it is Jason Kidd's fault. I mean, you have two of the best ISO players in the league, and I get it. It's so easy just to be like, Luka's turn, Kyrie's turn, Luka's turn, Kyrie's turn. That's never won basketball games, ever, and it's not going to win you a championship. That might get you a first-round series win if you could man it. Like I don't even – it just won't work, especially not against the Nuggets. The Nuggets are going to run you up and down the floor. Like, Dwight Powell's going to guard Nikola Jokic. Are we serious? Fun fact I learned from the Nerd Sesh on TikTok. Did y'all know Dwight Powell is a top 25 scorer for the Dallas Mavericks in their history?
I'm not
That's a pathetic
surprised. He's
franchise.
been there like 10 years. I think he's been there like 10 years.
Tim
I'm
Hardaway
not
Jr. is
surprised.
top 25. Luka
not
is
surprised.
like 7. Luka's 7 already or something like that. Like,
What's Barbosa?
sorry ass franchise. I got no clue.
My
I
boy
think
Derek
Jason
Harper
Terry.
and Ronaldo Blackman, they got something to say about that. They're probably like in the top 5. Wow, I just really said some old ass dudes' names. Wow. But yeah,
Yeah, nah, bro, because your bag is unreal, and I don't look forward to you in the
Holy
outro game next week. But yeah, I
Wait till
think
I
we
got
can
one
all
thing to say about
agree.
the Mavs too. I have one thing to say.
Oh
one
yeah,
thing to say
yeah.
about
Go
the
ahead,
Mavs,
go
too.
ahead, go ahead.
When I
Yeah,
seen they were
go
getting
ahead.
Kyrie, my thought was, okay, Jalen Brunson, Kyrie. I'd say Kyrie's better than Jalen Brunson. I think Kyrie's a better scorer than Jalen Brunson. They do it different ways, but I think Kyrie's a better scorer. And I looked and I'm like, the difference was they actually had wing defenders last year. So even if the ISO game for Brunson or Luka wasn't working last year, they could get a stop. They could look for Finney Smith to get a stop, and they can get an actual stop. Now, when the ISO game isn't working, it looks way worse when the shooters are making shots because they can't get a stop now. So I think a big portion of it is Jason Kidd, but I also think too they lost what they were fifth or seventh in defense last year, now they're like 23rd. Like if your offense doesn't move, but your defense goes from 5th or 7th to 23rd, it's impossible. It's literally impossible. So I think that's really big too. Like they can't get stops, and I think that even with the ISO ball, they don't have the same shooters to kick out to. Like they don't have like outside of Bullock, they don't have another person shoot to kick out to. Luka Doncic isn't a great spot up shooter. That's why he has to have the ball, like DC said. He has to have it because he has to play make because he but he's not a good just standstill shooter because he hasn't done it his whole career. I'm not blaming him for it, but just the fact of the situation. Kyrie has. So as DC said, Luka probably should handle the ball a little more in that because Kyrie's played with Bron, Kyrie's played with KD. Like he knows how to just stand still shoot. I think that works. So I want to raise that DC's point too. I thought it was really good, and it kind of fit into what I was thinking too.
Nah,
No,
definitely.
you're good. It just Danny, go ahead. Danny, go ahead.
I was gonna say like you can see the clear like you fall off to like what 23rd%, like 23rd in the league, like you said. There's a lot of guys in the league that like just you can't do that and be successful. And speaking of that, Luka can be compared to a few guys in our next segment on Take the Skyline.
Yes, that is correct. But right before we jumped into that, Chris, you brought up a good point about Jalen Brunson. Per Tim McMahon of ESPN says Mark Cuban is blaming Rick Brunson for the Mavs losing Jalen Brunson in free agency, saying, quote, things went south when the parents got involved. So Mark Cuban, not only fumbler of the scrub daddy, but inability to take accountability.
That sounds like a Drake